So everyone pretty much who works in our office in Los Angeles is here, and we're going to talk about everything tonight. It's a Q&A, so the idea is to, bring the questions in throughout this. We're going to do our best to answer everything. It's a Q&A, so you guys ask the questions, I'll answer them. Got the team here. We're going to bring on a colleague of ours named Kyle Carter, who is at APA Agency, and there we go. Kyle Carter is the agent who handles Young Dolph, and so many of you know Young Dolph. He's in the news a lot too. He's charting. So we're going to bring Kyle Carter, Young Dolph's agent, on at about 5:20, 8:20 in the East. So about 20 minutes we'll bring him in. We'll answer all your questions about being getting an agent, getting a manager, and whatnot. So what we're going to start off with, the first segment of this, is going to be about the record business and record deals and the current state of the record industry. So we'll start off with that. We'll wait a few more minutes till people jam on in here. But we're going to talk about the record business first. Then we're going to bring in Kyle Carter, who is the agent for Young Dolph. And then we're going to talk about management, which is something that I do. And then at the end, we're going to do all general stuff about merchandise and about promotion and what can I do right now with the state of COVID and all that stuff. So there's a lot to talk about. Totally relying on you guys to ask questions throughout this. So the guys are here. They're going to let me know the questions, so you can fire them away. Guys, if you see questions, just keep track of them, and, so I don't get off topic. But yeah, we're going to talk about the business, and we're going to talk about the business in general, which it's a new landscape. The music business is a totally new landscape for right now. So those of us who've been in it for a minute are maneuvering in different ways. And that includes shows, that includes merchandise, and that includes record deals. You good? Okay. So, new landscape, new possibilities for artists and for those of you who are promoters or managers or agents, new possibilities too. It's tricky, but you got to stay with it and navigate through this landscape. Because things will change. It's going to be a minute, and we talked about this on the last live stream last month, that shows as we know them aren't coming back in the immediate. It's going to take time. So just be aware of that, and make sure that you know that shows are going to take time. So you got to figure out other ways to do it, live streams and whatnot. Buster, will you do me a favor and just keep an eye on him, because I think he ran down the side. Just watch him during all the... Oh, never mind. Cool. Sorry, we got loose dog. All right, cool. So let's get into it, all right? Let's get into first segment of this whole thing is the record business. The record business, in my opinion, was already kind of tangled up before COVID. So it was a tricky business because the major labels were trying to catch up with the independent artists who didn't want to go that route, and they were constantly trying to figure out, how do we catch up to these guys that are making their own money out of their living room, and we're not getting any of it. So we're going to talk about the record business as it is right now, and as what I know of it right now, and you guys need to ask the questions below. So the first thing is, there are two types of record deals. There's actually various types of record deals, but the two main types of deals are a major record deal and a distribution deal. A major record deal with a major label, that includes them paying you X amount of dollars to basically own your music. And they will promote it, and they will put it out, and they will spend a ton of dough on you. They will also recoup all of that dough. So a major deal is something that you need to be prepared for if it comes your way, because you might and very well could end up on the short end of the stick. Well, what does that mean, short end of the stick? Well, that means I am a major record label and I want to sign you, so I'm going to give you $1 million to go make an album. You need to spend that $1 million to make that album. Now, if you utilize any of the services of my major label, I'm going to recoup everything you did. You're going to owe me that money back. Once we're in the profit range, I'm going to take 80% of the profit, and you're going to get 20%, sometimes less. So, in essence, that's what a major record label is. And I'm going to own your music. So, that's essentially a major record, major deal. A distribution deal is a little different. Distribution deal, and there's plenty of distribution companies, and a lot of artists are really taking advantage of this service now. So a distribution deal, I'm going to sign you. You're going to own your music. I'm not touching your music. You own the music, and I'm going to give you 80% of the profits. So I'm going to keep 20% of the profits. You're going to get 80% of the profits, and you're going to own your music. So in theory, an artist could be like, well, wow, that's awesome. Like, you know, I get 80% and they don't own my music. Well, that's great. The issue with that for some artists is that you get into a distribution type of situation and they're like, okay, 20%. But you're like, well, what do I get for the 20%? Well, we put your music up on iTunes, and we put your music on Spotify, which, you know, as independent artists, you can do that yourself. So the rub on that is, well, okay, I could have done that myself. And then they will say, well, do you want PR? Do you want marketing? Do you want radio services? If you do want that, we're going to tack on to the 20% that we're taking away from you. So if you want all these extras on top of us putting your music out to the stores, then we're going to take more money. And then all of a sudden it gets a little weird. And you're like, wow, I thought this was 80-20. So both a major deal and a distribution deal, they're two different animals, and I'm not here to bash on them. And you guys should start asking questions about deals and whatnot. I'll tell you, because I've been through it. But, you know, it depends on who you are as an artist. If you are cool with giving up your ownership of your music for 3 albums or 5 albums, that's cool. A major label can make you worldwide. They can really, if it's the right artist and it hits at the right time, a major record label can take you worldwide and you can be a superstar, okay? An independent or a distribution label, same thing. You can be pretty big and you will be big. Great music finds its way. So if you're making great music right now, it's going to find its way to the consumer. That's the beautiful thing about music, is if you make it and it's great, it will get out there and it will find an audience, and maybe it's a streaming audience, maybe they'll pay for it. So here we go. Here's a couple questions that were already submitted, and then you guys can pipe in down below on some more questions. Someone sent us this. It says, does it make sense to sign a record deal right now with so many artists going the independent route? Which is basically what I just talked about. So with what's going on right now, it's up to you. It depends, again, if you want to own your music or you don't want to own your music. If you feel more comfortable going the independent route, then go for it. What I can tell you right now, with the state of labels as it is August 28th, major labels are not signing and developing new acts right now. They're not. They're, for a myriad of reasons. We're in a pandemic. We're in a recession. The record business hasn't really caught up to the independent artist momentum. So a major label is not going to come to you right now and say, you know what, we're going to invest in you for the next 5 years. You're going to make 3 albums. Here's a ton of dough. They're not going to do it with a pandemic going on. You might get a cosign if you know a major artist or you're friends with them or they discovered you. You might get something like that. But if you're just sitting in your room making great music, the odds of a major label coming to you right now in the middle of a pandemic to sign you for 2, 3, 5, whatever album deal is unlikely. Major labels want a package that's already ready. They want an artist who's already making money. They don't want to spend the time and the resources developing you right now. Maybe 6 months ago that was still alive, but right now a major label is not going to spend the time, the money, and the energy to develop you. If you're already making noise, and they can tell what noise is because they have analytic departments, they will look at your stats, they'll look at your streams, they'll look at your followers, and if they feel they can make money off of you in the immediate and in the future, then yeah, they might offer you a major record deal, and which we already talked about what comes along with that. Now, an independent artist may choose a distribution deal like we just talked about, and you own your music 80-20. If you add on bonuses and whatever with the distribution company, it's above the 20. Perfectly fine for today's climate. In fact, I suggest it. Just be careful when you're signing with a distribution company. Maybe you try one album. You don't need to sign up for 3 albums or whatever, okay? So that's that question. The next question was, how do I get my music in front of record labels and A&Rs? Well, again, we're talking about a new world, and we're talking about COVID. So are people listening to music and submissions? Yeah, they are. I know personally I get sent a ton of music. I know personally that I send music out to people. It gets listened to, but are people automatically responding with, oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard, I've got to sign that person, who is that person? No, because our industry right now is sort of, in flux. Live shows, record labels, promoters, managers, venue owners, tour bus companies, t-shirt company, it's all a mess right now. So it's finding its way, but it's a mess. So I say this, do not send your music to anybody that's unsolicited. Don't do it. Don't send it to a promoter. Don't send it to a record label. Don't send it to a manager. Don't send it to an agent. If somebody asks you for music, by all means send it. If you know somebody and you want to get your music to them, ask them first. Say, hey man, can I send you 2 songs I'm working on? If they reply to you with like, yeah, sure, go ahead, send it, then do it. I do that. I'm on all levels of this thing. I'm a manager, I'm a promoter, I operate a company. I ask people before I send music out. I don't just say, check this out. So remember that. What are labels looking for from me or artists in general? I think I covered that. Major labels, again, are looking for ready-made artists right now. So you're already earning money, and a major label can see that you're earning money, so they want to blow you up so you'll make more money, but then they can make more money too. You guys keeping track of these questions here? Yeah. Okay. What resources can I use to learn about record deals? Well, I hope I just gave you that, but you can just Google it. There's plenty of websites to talk about the different types of record deals. It's out there. So Google it, but that pretty much wraps up major versus distro. I got a question here that says, should I have representation before signing a deal? Who do I need to look over a deal? That's a great question. So here's the deal. Some of you may be already ready. Some of you have maybe been approached by major record labels or the distribution companies. There's a lot of great ones. Empire's great. Caroline's great. They're really, really good. Yes, you should absolutely 100%. You need a lawyer when you get into a contract, even a proposal. When someone sends you a proposal from a record label, whether it's a distribution company or it's a major label, you need a lawyer. So when you get to that point where people are coming to you, you got to have a lawyer. You can start off with the lawyer being a family friend or a family member. Maybe it's a lawyer who doesn't even do entertainment. Maybe they're, general practice or, whatever. But you want another pair of eyes looking at a contract. And there are a lot of artists that get screwed because they don't have that. So they see this piece of paper and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting $1 million in my bank account. Oh yeah, I'll sign it. And then you see later on Taylor Swift, you see Prince, George Michael, these guys, they signed these deals, they didn't own their music, and then as their careers blew up and they wanted their music back. A lot of them got it back, but it's difficult, so just know what you're signing in the beginning. and you definitely need a lawyer. So, like I said, initially the lawyer can be a family friend or can be a different type of lawyer. Doesn't have to be entertainment in the beginning, but you need another set of legal eyes on those contracts. That's what I have on my thing for a record.
Yeah. And the only question I saw was about going indie or staying or going major.
I think we covered it, but
Yeah.
the question was, should I stay independent or go major? I think we covered it. Again, for those of you who are just joining, a major record label is going to own your music. They're going to give you a loan to use to make an album and buy cars and houses if that's what you choose to do. But you're going to owe it back, and they are going to own your music. That song you wrote, they're going to own it. You do not own it. They can do whatever they want with that song. And they're going to try to set you up for a 360 deal where they own your t-shirt, they own your website. So that's a major deal. It works for some people. Some people want that money. Some people blow up and go worldwide and they don't care because the music is so huge that they make so much money that they don't care that they're on the short end because the money comes barreling in. Happens. Distribution, like we said, you keep 80% normally. So it's really your call. Okay, anything else? Anyone else got a question on the record business? Because we're going to move on and get Kyle Carter from APA Agency in Young Dolph. Nelson is here, David's here, Buster's here. They're all going to come behind me. Jack's here. So anybody else question regarding the record business?
No, we didn't have any others.
Let's see anything else.
No, there's Kyle, though. Okay, and just, guys, as a reminder, we're going to do this the last Friday of every month. So we're going to do it again September 25th, and our guest is going to be Mitch Blackman, who is an agent at ICM. He represents Black Bear, Robert Glasper, Kamasi Washington, amongst others. Next month, last Friday of the month, we're going to talk about branding. So he'll be here, Mitch Blackman. So you guys check our Insta. We'll always be sending out reminders and whatnot. But definitely send your questions in. I'm about to bring Kyle Carter in. Hold on. Big agency called APA. For those of you who don't know about agencies, the biggest ones are APA, ICM, CAA, William Morris, and Paradigm. Hey, Kyle. Can you see me and hear me?
I can. Can you hear me and see me as well?
I see Kyle. Hey. Is Kyle on a delay?
I see him.
Oh.
Kyle, I can't hear you. Cannot hear Kyle.
I can hear him.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
You think it's because of the mic?
I can hear you guys.
Yeah, I can hear you off his. That's fine.
Yeah, okay. I'll take the earpiece out, see if that's better.
So, Kyle, we're on a bit of a delay. So, I'm going to let you do the bulk of the talking.
That works for me.
Oh.
Around here.
All right, we good, Kyle?
Yes, we are.
Okay, cool. So, Kyle, we've been talking for the last 20 minutes about the record business, and we kind of talked about major deals and independent deals and distribution deals and whatnot. So, you're an agent currently in this climate, and one of your clients is Young Dolph. Can you just quickly, before we get into some questions from the audience and that we have, can you kind of tell us, in your words, what's going on with the agencies and clients? Because obviously people can't really work right now. The big earning clients, it's tough other than like live streams and stuff like that. So how are you guys handling it as a major major agency?
I mean, right now, as far as the major agency that I work with, once again, I'm at APA, working with everyone from Young Dolph to Juicy J. So for us, as you mentioned prior, this environment we're all very much adjusting to. Where we're used to grinding from 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night for our clients, domestic and internationally. We're now starting to see a little bit more movement of, as you mentioned, the bigger artists that we're working with. We're now looking at putting them into 2021, 2022 even. And that's where it starts getting a little bit hard, is that at least with the clients that we work with, they look at it as a opportunity for them to grow themselves as far as their music. Because this is a time for them to be a little bit more creative during this time of downtime. For someone like Young Dolph, we have him on the road, almost 200 times a year, and for him, he finally gets the off time, gets to spend it with his family, and now he gets to be creative. I mean, we just released a album 2 weeks ago, and we went number 4 in Billboard Top 200 with it as an independent artist. So that's the one thing when you go talk about, independent artists versus those that are signed to major labels, as you mentioned prior, it just comes down to what you're looking to get out of the industry. If you're able to pump it up and grow, then grow.
So who is Dolph signed to? What is he with a distribution company?
So currently he's with a distribution, which is Empire. So
Empire.
he's
We
earning
talked
his
about
own
Empire.
company.
Empire's one of the better ones.
Correct. So you guys, the real two that are really making waves right now are going to be Empire and United Masters.
Caroline too is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just comes down to, for himself, he got offered all the time for major labels. For him, his way of going was that he wanted to own his rights. Same thing with what Nipsey Hussle did. I got to see Nipsey Hussle grow from the start. So did you. We got to see that he never wanted a major label, but nor was he trying to chase one. For them, they just wanted to put their music out for the fans.
Yeah. Now, so Dolph clearly is an earner, both on the road and with music. Do you have clients that, and I say this gently because I know I've worked with a lot of old school hip hop dudes, and I know that a lot of their income over the years would come from touring, because the old school guys are not getting as many streams. Nobody's buying albums anymore. So a lot of their earnings came from touring. So do you guys have clients that are reliant on touring, that are like calling you saying, Kyle, you got to get me something, like get me a live stream or get me a sponsorship or something? Are you having clients that are starting to freak out?
No, luckily all the clients I'm currently representing, I mean, for the most part, we've been able to pad them over the past few years, so they're able to at least, make it through everything that we're working on currently. But a lot of the guys, such as, once again, like a Dolph or a Cap G or, a Juicy J, like they are looking at different endeavors. They're not just looking at the primary touring like they used to do. A lot of these guys are extremely intelligent investments. Investing in, like, I got a call from Young Dolph and his manager a few weeks ago saying, Kyle, check out these stocks. You should dive into them, and I'm up 60%. And it's one of those things of not just adapting with the music, but learning how to better invest in your future.
Right, which is great. It's if you're an agent and your clients are exactly like what you said, they're already financially stable. So it's almost like the shows are sort of gravy. You know what I mean? The shows are gravy, and the shows are promo for their albums. So
Correct.
Yeah, so they're in a good situation, but there are artists that a lot of their revenue comes from touring and merchandise. Sure,
1,000%.
they have streaming, they have some YouTube, but a lot of their dough comes from touring and merch. And I don't know what they're doing right now. Maybe they're starting OnlyFans or something. It's
Well,
like
a lot of clients
crazy.
are starting to move. A lot of clients are starting to move towards, like you said, they're trying to focus really on their brands right now and their merchandise. Like you said, merchandise is a big holder as long as you're not stuck on a 360 deal with a label.
Right.
I have one of my clients.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said I have one of my clients, Sammy, who is an R&B artist, and he's really gone above merchandise. He's now putting out scented candles. I'm saying he's going out of just the t-shirts and sweatpants. Like he's going into making his own candles and selling candles, and there's still opportunities to do meet and greets, virtual meet and greets. So there's a lot of different revenue paths. It's just not the typical one night hit and gross $200,000 in a night. It's now figuring out how to gross that over a week, 2 weeks time.
Now, are you guys getting a lot of inquiries at the agency for like live stream stuff? Like, is Young Dolph getting live stream offers? And if so, what do they look like?
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that we've realized, especially with coronavirus, is the fact that there's just not one platform that's out there. Just like there's not just one venue out there. There's about 20, 30, 40, 50 streaming platforms. And a lot of the streaming platforms that we're working with, they were promoters. They have someone like yourself who has a Rolodex of doing shows in multiple markets. So they understand that it's the same ability of promoting a concert, but it's live stream. And there's two different types of live stream: those that you want that are done on their phones, or something like, for instance, what you've set up, where you go into the Roxy and or a live venue and you stream it live as a full productive show. And
Right.
so we're seeing a lot more opportunities in the virtual space, but it's still a space that we're learning and growing with. I mean, as far as a growing artist or building artist, virtual shows are great. For a established artist, you don't want to do more than one or two live virtual shows because you don't want to dilute yourself. And that's the big issue that a lot of these guys had when it first came out. They're going, let's do 15, 20 shows. And without it being geo-targeted, it
Mm-hmm.
makes it really hard to not dilute yourself in these markets. So when you go live again, you do have to have more content before you go live.
Are you having artists turn down live stream paid opportunities?
Absolutely.
And is
Big
that
money, small money?
because they're not into it, or money, or both?
No, it's more of they're intrigued with the idea, but once again, with the way I advise my clients with virtual shows are that it's a great resource. If you need the money, cool. But if you want to get exposure, great. So it comes down to a lot of the conversations I have with my managers are purely that, if you guys want to do a virtual show, the money is either not going to be great, or even if it is great, it now comes down to how many people are going to see it. Is it an opportunity? I'd rather have my artist go, that makes typically $50,000, $60,000 a show, do a show for $2,000 if they're going to be in front of 40 million people. That's more promotion than us doing it for $40,000 and we're only having to shoot off the phone.
Is that a tough sell to your clients?
Not at all. I mean, it comes down to clients.
Has Dolph done a live stream yet?
Right now, we passed on most because, once again, what we want with Dolph is to keep the image. So we're looking at a full production. We want to be able to do the show the way he wants to be able to do it, not just off a cell phone, not just in a back alley. Like he's the type of guy that when he goes and does a show for his fans, he wants to go 100% all in.
But now so I guess what I'm saying is, if provided the production elements are right in the venue or whatever, is that this something Dolph would do?
100%. But it just has to come down to, like you said, there's a lot more elements with my clients that it's not just always about money. Once again, when you're an up and coming artist or established artist, it's about maintaining that growth. And in order to maintain that growth, you do have to figure out different ways to reach out to that fan base. So for him, is it objectified of, oh, I'll never do it? No, not at all. It's more of, when I'm doing my research, a lot of these opportunities, they're great money, but once again, it's not putting us in front of the fans that we want to be in front of.
Yeah. No, I get it. And, we're in the live stream world now too. And we're navigating through it. For our purposes as a promoter, we are doing some live streams in venues where we're renting out the venue as we would do for a concert, bringing in camera crews and making it as professional as possible. So that's one of the things we're doing. We're also sending offers to agents like yourself for live stream possibilities, and agents are approaching us. As a manager, I'm doing one with my client. A promoter is paying us to do it, and we're doing it in a really cool studio, and we're going to have full production value and make a big deal about it. And then we have some Dolph who came to us and said, look, I'm getting paid a bunch of dough to do a live stream. We want you guys to produce it. So we want you to pick the venue, bring in a camera crew, and make it legit. So we're seeing different areas of this right now, a whole new world. And yes, there are the cell phone ones. And, you should, if that's all you can afford is Instagram live concert, then do it. Keep the content out there.
I mean, a lot of festivals are doing right now too. I mean, one of our clients, Asia, who's out of the Compton area, she's been crushing live streams. But once again, she's still developing. She's still growing. She's underneath Empire as well. But the one thing is that for someone, as mentioned, up and coming, we're getting her the exposure she needs. So realistically, when you're looking at that sort of level, you want to be in as many homes as you possibly can, so people get to know who you are. And that's when we start looking at the festival opportunities and start looking at the hard ticket opportunities, because that's what we're trying to do is grow her brand, so more eyes are on her.
Right. Now, once you got past canceling shows, moving shows, booking 2021, 2022, are your days still as busy as they were once you got all that stuff cleared out?
Well, it's maintaining, but it's not as busy as it was originally. Because when
Right.
you're talking about, it's the craziness right now, right? So it's for us, we are still rescheduling shows. And, right where we thought we are good back in March, we have several dates going out. And then from there, we're able to, look at August, September, October, November, and we're good. Now we're looking at this point 2 weeks before shows and having to reschedule them again for 2021. Just so that way we're not having to reschedule for the 5th, 6th, 7th time, because fans want to go see the artist.
Now, do you see, in your opinion, because on the last stream we did last month, I gave my opinion on when I see live music coming back full steam. What about you? What are you A, telling your clients, and B, what's your best guesstimate on when things return to somewhat normalcy on the touring circuit?
Look, we're starting to get hard to get shows as is, but as far as the advice to some of my clients, try and take a risk of going out there and potentially getting that artist sick during these times. It doesn't really outweigh the money that you're making. So really, it's not just about endangering the artist; it's about also the fans. An artist can't grow and build if their fans are sick and they can't attend a show. And that's what we're really more about, is the health of the fans and the artists, because once again, no one wins if everyone's sick. So for us going into 2021, we truly believe that, by the time, if things are on track for a vaccine, and if we figure out these guidelines for shows, then we're looking at probably March, April, May of next year. But the one hard thing right now with a lot of these venues are, I go into a 2,000 cap room, which is for a concert for 2,000 people. But after social distancing is all in place, you're talking about only 400 people, or if not less, are even able to attend. I think at one point with the social distance guidelines, a 2,000 cap room was only able to fit 46 people.
So what I'm told, and in our world, is that guarantees for these artists from the major companies, and I say Live Nation, AEG, there's a few others. I'm hearing that these offers are going to be drastically reduced and are going to be based on scaled cap, which is, you can understand, but there's going to be safety measures. And like what basically in a nutshell is what I'm hearing is that the artists aren't going to get paid what they once were for the first year or two because of all the new things.
Well, it depends, right? So right now with some of the bookings that we're doing into next year, I have some artists that we know what our value is, and we're not going to negotiate until we get closer to the end of the year. Even though I'm locking in stuff for April, May of this year, rather than get a low ball offer for my artist, we'll come back and circle around in late in the year to see how things are being produced. And if everything's back running, then we're not going to take a discount.
Are you anticipating door deals?
For the smaller artists, 100%. I think for the smaller artists that we're making 2,000, 3,000, they'll be looking at more door deals coming into the next year. But those that are a little bit more established, it's not going to make too much of a difference.
Right.
Because at the end of the day...
Yeah, so those artists you talk about that are the lesser artists that will be basically forced to take door deals, is that going to take convincing on your end, or you think they're open to it?
No, I think, look, so door deals, I think for a younger artist, I think is a great opportunity. Because at the end of the day, we look at, hey, I get $2,000 guarantee, or I take a door deal, I possibly get a versus 85, 90%. And if they sell out, then they're walking away with $6-7 grand. Now we come back in that market, what we would have been incrementally going up and maybe made that $2,000. Next time we come in the market, we're making $7,000. Right. Because we're able to show our actual ability to show that we're willing to take a risk on ourselves or on the artist. So and it allows sometimes, as you know, for a promoter, to put some more effort into marketing to be able to get the show done, because it's not, money coming out of pocket right off the advance. So there's good opportunity in door deals, and then there's also opportunities where you have to kind of outweigh, is this the right promoter versus not the right promoter? And
Right.
if it's the right promoter, then a door deal could work. If it's not the right promoter, then might as well just pick up the money.
Because I know myself as a manager, I would, and we don't have an agent. I wear both hats. I would not, as a manager, I'm not taking a door deal right now for anything. Just
Correct.
because there's too much uncertainty on what's going on for next year. And there's uncertainty with the live stream. Now, live stream numbers are interesting, and it's a new math. It's a new science, because nobody knows, no one before 6 months ago knew what live stream really was. I mean, it was happening, and like people were broadcasting from the venue and whatever. But now in live stream world, you can buy a ticket to the live stream.
Correct.
And the whole world can buy a ticket to that live stream and watch it at the same time. So it's truly pay-per-view.
Correct.
But and for some artists, it's like they say the live stream numbers are 3 times what you're worth in the club. Okay, so they're saying, well, this is new math the industry's trying to figure out. So they say normally your artist is worth 1,000 tickets in the club, right? So your artist does a tour and he plays all the 1,000 cap rooms around the country, sells them all out. He's worth 1,000 tickets, right? And he probably gets 20 grand, 15 to 20 grand, 25, whatever. So they're now saying that if you are worth 1,000 tickets on the road on a live stream, they're saying you're worth 3 times as much. Is that what you're hearing?
No, it's hard to kind of determine, right? So as you're aware, for instance, a lot of people, especially in hip hop, they look at nightclubs and they go, look, we had 1,000 people come out to the nightclub, and I made $60,000 doing a nightclub at 1,000 capacity. Right. However, as we know, even when I pitch an artist to you with, hey, here's my history at a nightclub, we know that 1,000 tickets in a nightclub is not really 1,000 tickets, because you got the bouncer in the back door. You got people letting you in for free.
Right. Bottle service gets in
Bottle
free.
service gets in 10, 20 people.
What about hard tickets? What about hard ticket artists that the data on, that's on Polestar or whatever? We can see box office receipts. For those of you who don't know, there's a website called Polestar. It's an industry website where all the concert touring records, it's like a movie box office thing, how much a movie makes. Same thing for concerts. And that's how we almost determine what an artist is worth. So
correct.
A hard ticket artist, someone that does 1,000 hard.
Mm-hmm. So look, you have to keep in mind. So 1,000 hard tickets, you're talking about, it's a localized show. So if I'm doing 1,000 tickets in New York, it's 1,000 people. It's 1,000 people that are either out of town that happen to be in New York, or they're physically in New York. When you're talking about live streams, as mentioned prior, it could be open format for all public. So I could hit all 50 states at one time. That's what, as I mentioned prior, was one of my concerns, is that if you could hit 50,000 people at one time with a live stream, fans still want a live show. And if the show is not well produced, will that affect your ability to sell live tickets down the road? Will it not allow you to sell tickets down the road? So for us to be able to see 1,000 tickets, sure, you should be, in theory, if you're able to do 1,000 tickets virtually, you should be able to do a lot more, because you're talking about not just one maintained market. Someone like, for instance, Young Dolph, we did 46,000 tickets on his last run. The year prior to that, we did 23,000 tickets.
What's Dolph's hard ticket right now, like before COVID? Like
prior
what is it?
As far as like ticket price, or as far as how many tickets?
What is the average? Like what's his what size rooms do you play?
We're averaging about 1,500.
Okay.
Right now. So we sold upwards of 4,000 cap.
So if you do, obviously he had success with the album. So if you did a live stream show now, you should anticipate at least 4,500 to 5,000 viewers.
Minimum.
Minimum. But that's the 3 times. Now, and Young Dolph is a current act. Where I'm having the hard time measuring is newer acts, younger acts, trending acts on whatever, trending on Twitter, trending on Instagram, whatever. You know who they are, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure if like 6ix9ine did a live stream concert, he'd have 10 million people watch. Like half.
BTS did the live stream, and they did over, what was it, $1.5 million in ticket sales, and
so
it just comes down.
So I guess, what we're trying to figure out is what is the value in the live stream? What are the guarantees? What do we pay you? What, as a promoter, what do I pay you for young Dolph to do a live stream, assuming he'll do it?
Yeah, I
And
mean
it's the right location and it's the right everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, we've gotten offers bigger than what we get on a regular show date, bigger than what we get on club dates. But once again, there's two things I always tell every up and coming artist or even established artist is that not all money is good money. Not all money is gonna get you to the next level. Not all money is gonna help you secure your guarantee for life. You have to kind of adapt. I've seen I've worked with artists that were, as you mentioned earlier, old school guys. I mean, that's how we started our career. That's when I started working with you 14 years ago, booking Warren G and E40, all those guys. And really, at the end of the day, is they are able to adapt. Where someone like a Warren G might have back in the day been able to get in his prime maybe 30, 40, 50,000, and then he has to go down, just go back up again.
Sorry, we have a helicopter flying.
You're fine. So it's about consistently changing with the markets.
So you bring up a perfect thing. So you have Juicy J, right? And you have Young Dolph. And Juicy J, awesome guy. Know him personally. Worked with them, counted money with them, settled with them. Great dude. Considered old school. Young Dolph, leave it open for the dog. Thank you. Young Dolph, younger.
Correct.
So I'm assuming their tickets are going to be skewed. You might put Juicy J on, say, on a live stream, and he might do 500 tickets, maybe 1,000 tickets. Young Dolph, 5,000, maybe. You know what I mean? So it's like
or more. You don't really know until you try it. Someone like a Juicy J has had success not only with his being with 3-6 Mafia, but his own solo act, but he's also been on features with everyone from 2 Chainz to Katy Perry. Yeah. And so, he's staying consistent. He used to drop a track, with Megan Thee Stallion. He just produced Young Dolph and, Megan Thee Stallion's track on Dolph's album. So, I mean, he's staying consistent. And that's the one thing is a lot of artists don't realize is that you can look at someone like an older act versus a legacy act versus an act that is like a Snoop Dogg who is always staying, relevant. He hasn't lost his touch. If at all, his money has only gone up. So there's a difference between how you kind of approach new artists versus old artists versus what people are willing to pay. If people are able to come out and see a show, they're going to come see the show regardless of what the ticket price is. But then you have the other level of people that you have to be, unless you know the market, you can't go out there and sell a $50 ticket to fans if you don't know anyone's going to buy a $50 ticket. So if you talk about live streams, it's the same thing. You do a free show versus a paid show.
Right, but if you do a live stream with Dolph, you got to charge $15 maybe. You know what I mean? It's like, they're cheap tickets.
Yeah, but for Dolph on a live tour, we're charging anywhere between $35 to $65, right?
But that's the new world we're in. So it's like
correct.
The live stream tickets have to be cheap unless they include something. We as promoters are starting to do live streams that include something. So you're not just paying $15 and then you're watching this for an hour and then you're out of there. So we're trying to make it worth your while. You know what I mean? So there's something that's included in it. Do we have questions for Kyle?
Yeah, we do have a couple.
We got a couple questions, and then we're going to move on to our next segment.
Done.
I want to make sure that we get these questions to you.
How should I vet a manager or agent?
No, that's on here for Kyle. No, do we have just were there questions in the stream for Kyle in particular? Okay. Okay. So what do you tell Kyle? What do you say to a young artist right now that doesn't have an agent or a manager that's going through this with everybody else? Like, what do you tell them? What's the advice?
I mean, for up and coming artists, it's the one thing is you really have to do your research on someone, whether they're reaching out to you or you're trying to reach out to someone that may be in the industry, right? Is that anytime someone's young and upcoming, they get so eager because everyone comes to them and goes, I'm a manager, but they've never managed anyone. They've never grown success. So now they're sitting with someone that, they get pissed off 2-3 years later going, why has nothing happened? And it's just because they're not as experienced. So the best advice I could give for anyone that's looking for a manager representation is really an agent's not really going to get involved, kind of like a record label without the proper team in place.
So this question just came in. So when do artists and managers even start looking at an artist?
Well, for myself, I'm constantly looking. I'm constantly scouting whether usually they have a manager first. So I'll call artists that I've been searching or I was referred to by a client or, referred to by a promoter, and I'll go digging and taking a look at them. But once again, I have to be able to see that they have streaming numbers, that they do have the ability to sell tickets. Because for an agent, the only way we make money is purely if you could sell ticket sales, right? If only you could grow in that market.
Right.
Same thing with a promoter, right?
But right now, there's no ticket sales. So have you personally listened to new artists, and have you signed any artists during COVID?
Yep. Since COVID, I've signed two other artists. So I've signed Schoolie, who's with the 2 Chainz label, Atlantic Records, and also Lil Papa, who's at Interscope right now. He's signed by the VP of Interscope, and he's currently on Rolling Loud. Same thing with Schoolie. We were able to get him on Rolling Loud Miami. Schoolie has, Lil Papa, we have him on a few other projects coming out. So this is a time for everyone to be really putting out content. If you want people to be seen, there's so many artists I've seen on social media that I go, these guys are great, but that's the only video I can find. There's no follow-up to it. It's a lot more, I'm going to go do a TikTok, or I'm going to just do pictures, or I'm going to do something else. So it kind of kills a lot of interest, because even though you have 500,000 followers, you only have one performance of you doing a cover song. Not 2, 3, 4, 5. It's one song, or you don't have any original songs. I mean, same thing. It's kind of like A&Ring, but you're kind of looking at the process of, seeing what if you're really that interested in being in the industry.
So the 2 artists that you said, it was Little Schoolie and
no. So you got Schoolie, who is signed to 2 Chainz, True Entertainment, as well as Atlantic Records, and we also got Lil Papa.
Okay, so those 2 artists, what made you sign them? What? Because they can't do shows, so they don't have really box office history. So what made you sign those 2 artists? What were you looking at when you signed them?
So with 2 Chainz management team, also was managing Young Dolph's team. So that's one of those things that we have a great relationship. Management sent it over to me, to listen to it, and I fell in love with it. I thought it rock and rolled. Someone like Schoolie, he's actually going to start doing live band sets. That's something that, as you know, not many people in hip hop do live band sets. That was intriguing. Got to see him perform it, and it blew me away. So that's that comes by recommendation on that side. As far as Lil Papa, once again, Sammy's manager brought me the opportunity and said, check out this kid. Once again, a lot of these are referral based, because we're talking to labels, we're talking to managers.
They're almost like cosigns.
Correct, and they're not small cosigns, and so that's the real thing is even if it's someone that does not have a big manager, does not have a big management time. Like today, we had a call with another band that we really, really liked. We heard the music on Instagram and got to go through a whole Rolodex of music, and they're young kids, up and coming. The manager is freaking great, so it got us even more excited to be able to have, like I said, it's more cohesive on a team. I mean, I had opportunities to work with some of the biggest artists in the world, but yet for us, it's about whether the team makes sense.
Right.
If the team's a mess, it's going to be, even if you're making $1 million for me a year, it's not worth our time, because we need the team.
But what are you looking for when you sign these guys? Now, I understand the other 2 that came to you that were, relationship based, but the band you were just talking to on the phone today, are you guys looking at their Instagram followers? Are you looking at their Spotify numbers?
We're looking at everything, right? So we're looking at the Spotify numbers, we're looking at Instagram numbers. But once again, I've seen someone like my old client Drezzo, who's EDM, who does not have a massive presence on Instagram, but he sells out hard ticket shows for an EDM artist, 8,000-9,000 cap rooms without even blinking. You kind of look at that and go, social media has a solid degree, right? But at the same time, I've also seen artists that have 2-3 million followers on Instagram and they can't sell a single ticket. So it really comes down to not just seeing what your numbers are, it's whether or not you have context of music. Because like I said, if you don't have music, then how can you sell tickets?
Yeah.
So for me, I have to love it.
Like, you can't sign. I mean, we don't know when real tickets are coming back. So you can't, someone who used to sell out every show, we don't know when that world's coming back. So it's like, you almost can't sign somebody based on their box office history right now, because we may not get back to normal box office history for a while.
No, and that's the hard part. Is that we might not be there for a while, so we kind of have to adapt. That's where it comes into helping more so right now, helping on the A&R side, helping make connections, because once again, the more relationships we build for an artist now, the more it pays off when we're back in live touring.
Have you, and I'm going to wrap it up, because then we're going to move into just some general questions. I can't thank you enough for your time, and I know the view well. you're a solid dude and you have legitimate clients, and hopefully people got some knowledge. We're just trying to. That's why we're doing this for free, and we're just trying to get like the bands and people that don't know about the music industry as much. We're trying to give them as much intel as we have, especially in a new world. Have you let any clients go during COVID, and have any clients left you?
For both those answers, no. I mean, at the end of the day, like you say, if I'm going to sign an artist for myself, at least as far as letting artists go, I believe in it. I believe in it. Unless they fire me, I'm going to be working my ass off as hard as I possibly can for my clients. Luckily, during COVID, I talked to my managers almost weekly, if not monthly, depending on where things are at, projects are at. But that's the whole thing is staying in constant communication, because once things are up and moving, we're not missing a beat.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things for me with, once again, having a good team around you, is that you can make those calls. Even if it's just to shoot the shit, it's still, you're learning more about what's coming next. You're learning when the next release is going to happen. And then, or we discuss, hey, look, I don't see the touring world coming back until March, April next year. Maybe we hold off on releasing the next project. Maybe we should release singles right now. So these are the things that for an agent, we have to be really, really close with our management team at the very least, so we know how to make the next moves, because really we're following the lead of the manager.
And lastly, have you as APA had to furlough employees? I'm assuming they have, because every entertainment business pretty much has.
Every entertainment company has. I mean, from the promotion companies to the small, mom and pop shops. I mean, it's CA, William Morris, UTA. I mean, every aspect of the world is being furloughed. But realistically, for those that I know that are furloughed, no matter what agency they're at or management company, we still have to work, and that's one of those things that you have to be consistent, because at the end of the day, we have a service to provide to our clients. And that's something that we have to achieve every single day. So luckily, knock on wood, I'm still rocking and rolling, but at the same time, it's like, we got to keep moving.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. I know the viewers liked it. And hopefully you'll stay on, and we're going to go through some general questions for everybody. But I appreciate you and appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us.
Of course. Hopefully I helped. And, I want to see people grow, especially in these times.
All right, bud. Take care.
Talk soon.
Thank you. Okay, guys, that was Kyle Carter. Someone's asking right now, how do commissions work across the board with managers and agents? Very good question. So I'm going to start off with this. How do I know when I need a manager and an agent? And usually 99% of the time, or 90% of the time, the manager comes first. A manager's job is to handle your day-to-day as an artist. And you might not have a lot going on. You might have a ton going on. A manager's job is to make sure you get from point A to point B. Your manager makes sure all the bills are paid, make sure all the money that is due you comes in, and make sure that you're out there, and also tries to secure you opportunities, whether they be gigs or sponsorships or whatnot. That's truly what a manager's job does. Now, manager commissions, they can vary. They're anywhere really from, I've seen them from 15 to 5%. Hear me now? Hear me? Can you hear me? Because I plugged the mic back in.
Probably.
Okay. So if you can't hear me, say something on the bottom. So yeah, a manager is usually, I've seen it 15 to 25%. So know that's 15 to 25% of everything. So you don't have an agent. Let's say you just have a manager and you make $100 to play the local bar down the street. Your manager gets a commission of that. You sign a major record deal with Interscope Records and they give you $1 million. Your manager gets his commission off the top. So Interscope says, hey, here's $1 million. Go make an album. The manager gets his cut off the top, not after the expenses. So that is the manager's cut. On the agency side of things, it's typically 10%. So a talent agency will take 10%. Manager's going to take, like I said, anywhere from 15 to 25. Let's call it 20%. Let's say a manager gets 20%, agent gets 10%. That's 30% coming off your money. And then you've got a lawyer and a business manager. This is when you get big. So your earnings, you start paying people out, the more you bring in and the bigger you get, the more you're going to pay out. So that's manager, like I said, 15 to 25%. Agent is 10%. And that's the manager generally comes first. Can you just pour me some water? So, yeah. So I got a question here. We got 5 minutes left. Someone's asking, how do I sell more merch? Merch is your friend right now, because things are whack, right? So you want to make as many T-shirts and whatnot as you can. You want to sell your merchandise on Instagram if you can. We make merchandise. This is our equality T-shirt. It's available on our store on the link in the Instagram. Equality more now than ever. But yes, you need to make merchandise, keep your brand alive. And now it's easier than ever. People are buying T-shirts. They like it. So definitely keep the merch alive. What's the best way for someone looking to get into the industry to learn about the industry? That's a good question. Normally what I would say, if you're an artist, I would say intern. Go intern for a record label, go intern for an agency, go intern for a management company, and just humble yourself for the 3 months or whatever it is, and be around the industry. Now, obviously, COVID, so people are working from home and everything's skewed, but I would say be around it as much as you can, and internships are always good. You can do them online now, but you want to be around the industry. Even if you're an artist, work for a promoter, work for a club, be a roadie, be a tour manager, all that stuff. The best ways to interact and grow your fan base during quarantine. Well, we talked about merch, live streams, podcasts, support other people, join fan clubs, let them join yours. Super important you stay branded and you stay out there. I'm going to let you guys know about a few things that we're doing. September, I'm not allowed to talk about that one. No, I am. No, I'm not. September 1st. No. Okay.
No.
There's a very big client that hires us to do his live streams. It's not our shows. It's not ticketed. I can't promote it. But we are hired by a major artist who had a #1 album recently, hires SHP to rent a venue, bring in a camera crew, and handle the whole thing. So we do that on a production level. 9/5, September 5th, next week, we are doing, as a promoter, doing a live stream out of the Viper Room in Los Angeles with Mark Ellis, who's a comedian. What's unique about this is we rented the Viper Room, we put the show on sale, and we're including merchandise in the ticket. So you can get a T-shirt with your ticket. That's Mark Ellis, and that's September 5th at the Viper Room. All this information's in the link in the bio and in our newsletters. And then lastly, Coda the Friend. As some of you know, I manage Coda. We're actually doing a live stream concert September 12th. A promoter is paying us, and we'll be live streaming out of Brooklyn. It's a ticketed event, and the tickets are available at veeps.com, veeps.com. That's Coda the Friend, September 12th in Brooklyn, live stream concert. We're still operating, guys, so you can hit us up. We'll be doing this again next month with my buddy Mitch Blackman, who is another agent at ICM. He handles Black Bear, who I think his album went #1. It just came out last week. Black Bear, Kamasi Washington, Robert Glasper, all the new